Hi everyone, it's Amy the Gable Stitcher, and I am finally back for a stitching update. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for new viewers, new subscribers, and everybody who keeps continuing to come back. It is September 9th, Monday, 2019, and I have not filmed a stitching update since I think the first week of August, so it's been a little while. And I have been thinking that I want to try to film stitching updates a little bit more frequently, do shorter videos, and do that with less editing just so that it gets done and it keeps me motivated to meet my goals and to stitch and into the habit of making more frequent videos again. So, with that being said, let's get down to it. So, the first thing I wanted to show you are some finishes. These are previous finishes. It is fall, so it is fair time here in New England. And there are two fairs that I am entering stitching in this year. One of them, the stitching is already out there. Myself and Phoebe, my 11-year-old daughter, entered stitching into the fair. It is the Big E, which is in Springfield, Massachusetts. And Phoebe entered one item of stitching. I entered two. I will show the results and the stitching after we pick them up the beginning of October. So that's just a little preview of what is to come, because I didn't film a segment before I brought them out. The other fair that I am entering stitching in this year is the Topsfield Fair, which is in Topsfield, Massachusetts. It is the nation's oldest fair, actually, and it's a local fair. It's the fair I grew up going to every year. So even though it's a little bit of a drive from where we are now, I do want to enter stitching in that fair again this year. So that fair, there are different requirements for each fair to enter stitching. This one, I had two items that would qualify for entry when I was looking over my stitching. For Topsfield, you need to have finished the item within the past year, and you're limited to 3 items that need to fit specific measurements. So I came up with 2 things I wanted to enter. So the first one, it's framed. My husband needs to put the backing on. This one I had showed as a finish a little while ago. I think I finished this in April or May. It is Blackbird Designs and To All a Good Night, and it's a very old loose feathers design. I absolutely love this stitch. This was so much fun, really just enjoyable from start to finish. So I stretched and framed it in a frame I had ordered online, and I think it looks pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing this at the fair, and I'm looking forward to hanging it in the home afterwards. So it still needs the backing. My husband needs to do that. That's his job. All right, the other one I'm entering, I showed this on one of my very first FlossTube videos. This is I Solemnly Swear That I'm Up to No Good by Fiddlesticks AU on Etsy. And this is a Harry Potter quote. Most of you will probably recognize this. I did it for my daughter in Slytherin colors for her birthday, my oldest daughter, for her 15th birthday in January. So it fits into the requirements of being completed in the last calendar year. And I did it as charted. I did it on Monaco that I coffee and tea dyed. And the only thing I did differently is the scarf here is supposed to be striped, but I didn't like how it looked with the gray letters in the middle, so I did it a solid green. The R&R, the Blackbird Designs piece is on a R&R linen. I think it's cappuccino. It was what was called for. It's a 28 count. So one of the reasons why I'm entering this one is because I want people to see that cross stitch is not your 1980s cross stitch anymore. That cross stitch has changed, that there's so many things you can do. You can do traditional samplers, you can do, dimensions kits, you can do anything you want. You can do full coverage designs, and you can do pop culture. So that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of going out of my way to enter into both fairs this year, because I want more cross stitch out there in the wild for people to see. So maybe people will pick it up if they are thinking about starting the hobby or had cross stitch before and wanted to get back to it, and maybe see, oh, look, there's some pop culture stuff there that would be really fun to stitch. So that's my goal for putting cross stitch into 2 fairs this year. Not to win ribbons, but for people to see more cross stitch, more crafts, and hopefully maybe be motivated to enter their own stuff or pick up the hobby. So that is that. So when we're talking about whips over the past 4 to 6 weeks, I have not done a ton of stitching. August was a very busy month. My kids were off of school still. We don't go back until after Labor Day. So we did a bunch of fun things as well as some getting ready for school. So I expect my stitching to pick up now that we're in September, and I spent a decent amount of time driving my children around and waiting for them at activities, and also I just have more alone time too, where I am able to get some more stitching done. So I have worked on 3 whips over the past month. The first one is the one I have done the most on, and that is Permanent Copenhagen Sampler 1830, which is also, I've been calling Amy's Green Blanket because it is huge. Forget the stitch count. It's 3 something by a high 2 something. So I am doing this on 32 count Belfast linen. I believe it's natural is the colorway. And let me hold this up. I have done quite a bit over the past 2 months. This has been kind of my stitch a day thing I've been doing over the last 2 months, trying to do, I've aimed for a thread a day to make some progress on this. So let me fold this up so I can show you what I've really done. So I worked across the top. Since August, I've done all of this in here. And now I'm coming over this way, working my way back to the left border and doing more motifs in here. And you can see I'm currently on this tree motif. The halfway point of the top is right about here, I think. So, and I'm a little bit more than halfway across the top. I think the halfway across the top is right here. So I'm going to continue this for my thread a day for the month of September, and then I'll probably put it away and pull out something else. In September, I would really like to go down here to the halfway point and then continue working my way across. So you can see right now I'm doing this tree, and I kind of feel like this is the halfway point. So I want to come down here and start going over to here. Because by the end of the year in my head, I would kind of like to be done with this part here, which is about 1/4 of the pattern. Believe it or not, this pattern is on 2 pages of paper, like huge fold up pages. So a lot of the old patterns are that way. So I have photocopied it into little chunks to do that. So, and like I said, this is 32 count Belfast, and I'm just using DMC 934 with it. The other thing I had worked on is I'm going to insert a picture here. It's an Etsy pattern. It is Darth Vader, and it says, "You don't know the power of the dark side," and it is in the shape of Darth Vader. And I am making this for my middle child, Natalie, who loves Star Wars. So I did a few more letters, a little bit of letters. I didn't work on this a lot. I would like to work on this more this month because her birthday was in August. I would like to give it to her this year. And this is done on a 32 count white Belfast linen. And it's stitched with 2 colors only, black, which I'm using DMC 310, and Christmas Red 666. So it's kind of funny that the lightsaber is in 666. So that's where that is now. And then the third item I worked on is I did a new start. Emily C. from Eclectic Possessions and Diana from It Is Kismet started a sale at the beginning of August to go along with Jen Lee's 24 Hour of Cross Stitch. And it is a free pattern. It's called the Weaver's Band Sampler. And I'll insert a picture here. And it was a sale, I want to say in 2018. It was a free sale. So it was released in like 52 or 54 parts. And each part is really small, which is great if you're stitching one part at a time. It's bad if you're printing out one part at a time because it's a lot of paper. So this might motivate me to put it on my tablet and stitch from that. But I started this with them in August. I have no plans to get this done anytime soon. It's huge. All I have done is a little bit of the border. So color's pretty good. I am using DMC 3842 for this. I like that blue. My daughter helped me pick it out. And this fabric is a 40 count Zweigart fabric, but it's called Normandy. And it is a blend. I'm not quite sure what it's a blend of, but there's definitely some polyester in it. This is a very long piece. It really needs like a fat half to be on, and this is a fat half of the Normandy linen. And I picked it up because it was super inexpensive when I was at Celebrations of Needlework. I want to say it was like $15 for a fat half. And like I said, it's a 40 count. And I kind of see why it's $15 for a fat half, because this is really, it's not an even piece of fabric. So you can see this and this is supposed to be the same size, and these are really elongated and these are smushed. So the holes are further out horizontal and closer together vertically, but it's fine. You know, I'm going to stitch with it. I'm going to start with, after this piece of floss, I think I'm going to start with the motifs in the middle to see how they look. As long as they don't look ridiculous, I'm going to continue with it. I have no plans to finish this project anytime soon. I just figured it would be fun to do, and I liked the project. But kind of the way I feel about free sales is I tend not to use really expensive materials with them, because that way, if I want to abandon them later on, I don't feel horribly guilty about it. So I'll continue with it. I kind of put a strand of floss in here and there, and I'm enjoying it. So we'll see how that goes. And that's all I have worked on. I did finish H's for Henry at the beginning of August or the end of July. I think I showed it in my last video. That is one of the items that is at the Big E. So it is framed, and I will show it when I get it back. It's going to be a quick turnaround between when I get it back and when I'm gifting it, because I am going to give it to Henry on his first birthday. But if I don't film a video, I'll film a segment with it. The frame came out nice. I'm very happy with it. So I think it will be well appreciated by Henry at some point, but hopefully by his parents when they receive it. Plans for the next week. Like I said, my kids are back at school, and I am going to find myself with a little bit more stitching time. I would like to work on Sampler 1830 as my one strand of floss a day. Like I said, I'm going to continue that for the month of September, and then I'll probably pull out another large project to work on for one strand a day. And to be honest, when I don't get one strand a day in, but the days I do work on it, I tend to stitch 2 or 3 because it's an easy stitch with one color, and sometimes I'll just pick it up while I'm watching TV. I also would like to work on Natalie's this week for a day or 2. And then I pulled 2 other projects out. I need a travel project now that I am going to be stitching, keeping it with me in the car. And typically for my travel projects, I try to pick a project that has not a lot of floss colors. Like monochromatic projects are great. So this might end up as my travel project at some point soon. But I think what I really want to stitch on right now, and this works well as a travel project too, is Spooky Countdown by Primitive Hair. I had wanted to get it done by Halloween this year. I would now say it's unlikely because it's the beginning of September, but I want to work on it regardless. So if it's not displayed this year for Halloween, I still want to work on it. I initially started out this year stitching 1 block a week, and I got about halfway and then put it away and didn't pull it back out. So it's time. And I use this a lot for travel stitching at the beginning of the year. So here we go, Spooky Countdown. I'm on the 3rd row of blocks. And the blocks stitch up pretty quickly once you work on them. What I typically do is I outline 2 or 3, and then I usually color complete by 2 or 3. So I have 2 more blocks on the 3rd row. So I kind of would like to complete those 2 this week. This is a really fun stitch. I am stitching it on 32 count MGC Textiles linen that I coffee and tea dyed myself. And I am using most of the Call for Flosses, which are DMC, but I'm adding a few extra colors here and there. Like I'm putting a little bit of purple in. So I'm kind of changing them up a little bit. Now I did a video last week about my Halloween plans and my Halloween stash, and I had mentioned I have 3 Halloween whips. This is one of them. So I would like to work on that, like I said, this week. All right. And then the other thing I would like to work on this week that I haven't worked on for a while is Satsuma Street's 12 Days of Christmas. When I ordered the frames for Henry and for Into All a Good Night, I went into that great category where if I spent an extra $25, I would get free shipping. And shipping was about $30. So I ended up spending like $40 or $50 and got another frame. And I ordered the frame. I went through and I was like, oh, what's close to being done? And I decided to do this one. And to all good Satsuma Street, 12 Days of Christmas. So I ordered the frame for this as well. So this is where I am on this. So the first 6 blocks are done. 7. I can't count today. First 7 blocks are done. So I had started this last year in September, and my goal was to do 1 block a month to have it displayed this year for Christmas. And once again, I fell short because I stopped after the 7 geese. So I kind of got burned out on birds. There's a lot of birds up to this point. So, and I wouldn't let myself skip ahead because the bottom row of blocks are my favorite blocks. So I just need to get through block 8. So my goal is to work on this for a few days this week too. That's that, and that is on 28 count white Monaco, the kind you buy in a tube at Michael's or AC Moore, any of those craft stores. And the last, my last plan for this week isn't really a stitching plan. When I went through my Halloween charts, I had pulled out what I had wanted to stitch on for this year. I started pulling out some things, and haven't quite completely narrowed down the list, but one of the things I do want to start is this R&R sampler, the Charlotte Frobisher, and I want to start this month for sampler September, but because it's a sampler from Massachusetts that is from a museum in Salem, I'm putting it in with my Halloween stitching as well. So I don't plan on starting this in the next week, but I plan on gathering the materials for it for hopefully a start the week after. It's not a large sampler. It's 149 by 215. So I figure it would stitch up relatively quickly. So once again, that's Charlotte Frobisher. And I think that is it. I was kind of looking around to see if I had any haul. It's been so long since I filmed a video. I know I have a few things. I don't have a lot, so I'm just not going to show anything. I did purchase Easter Parade by Blackbird Designs and the 2 Anniversary of the Hearts by Blackbird Designs that were reprinted. I wanted to get those while they're out because I don't know how long they're going to be around for. And those were on my wish list. So I did go ahead and purchase those. And I also purchased, it's not in yet, I purchased the Home for the Holidays book. I think that's what it is, from Blackbird, the Christmas book. Lynette from Homesteading on the Homesteading on the Home Front. Lynette, you have quite the tongue twister of a name for your channel, is hosting a sale the first week starting October 1st. Basically anything from that book. Last year, I think most people did the Cardinal. Some people are going to continue with the Cardinal if they haven't finished it. Other people will start something different. I did not participate last year, and now I just can't resist, so I need to participate. I won't be doing anything large from the book. There are some smalls in there, but I do think I'll start one of the smalls in October. And one last thing. Lynette and I have been talking about trying to get Massachusetts stitches together for a stitching get-together, and not limited to Massachusetts. Like, if you can get there and you want to come, you're welcome to. So we were thinking October, looking at my phone, the date. I believe it's October 22nd of this year. Yes, Tuesday, October 22nd. We're going to have a stitch day at Panera Bread in Westboro, Massachusetts. So, love to see you there. Lynette wrote that it opens at 6:30 a.m. Come when you want, but she's going to be there around 10. I'll probably be there a little bit more earlier than 10. But October 22nd, Panera Bread in Westboro, Massachusetts. If you're a local stitcher or want to get together for a stitchy day, we would love to see you there with us. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, I'm going to try to do some more regular updates so I can have shorter videos that are easier to edit and put up, and to keep myself accountable in my stitching. Because I had a lot of stitching goals this year, and while I met some of them, there's other things I really want to see finished this year. So I'm hoping that coming and talking to all of you once a week or once every other week is going to help me meet those goals. Thank you very much and have a great day, guys. Bye.